We live in a time where everyone wants freedom, but few truly understand what it means to respect it. On the left, we hear that religion has no place in public life, that faith belongs only behind closed doors. And on the right, we see a crusade against anyone who lives differently, especially those in the LGBTQ community, as if their existence somehow threatens the moral fabric of society. Both sides claim to fight for freedom, but both practice control. Both preach tolerance, but neither truly understands respect. So today, I want to challenge both and propose a new way forward. A society where beliefs, whether they come from a church or an identity, are recognized as personal truths, not public tools. Where faith and self-expression are protected, but kept in balance. So no one's personal conviction is forced upon another. Let's start with the left. For years, progressive circles have treated religion as if it's a disease, something to be contained, privatized, and pushed out of the public sphere. They say, believe what you want, but keep it at home. Now that sounds reasonable until we realize it's not about belief, it's about control. When someone says, don't bring your faith into the public square, what they often mean is don't challenge my worldview. But religion, whether Christianity, Judaism, Islam, or others, has historically guided our moral compass. It inspired the abolition of slavery, the civil rights movement, and countless acts of charity and compassion. The problem isn't religion existing in public life. It's when religion is weaponized. However, the left often paints all public faith as dangerous or oppressive, when in truth, millions of religious Americans live their beliefs quietly, humbly, and with love. To silence them completely is not progress, it's hypocrisy. Now let's talk about the right. While the left attacks faith, the right often uses faith to attack others. Specifically, they target the LGBTQ community, criticizing how people live, love, and express themselves. This is where moral conviction crosses into moral policing. A person's sexual orientation or gender identity does not threaten the country, the family, or faith itself. What threatens society is intolerance disguised as righteousness. If you believe that God condemns a certain lifestyle, that is your right. But it's also your responsibility to recognize that belief as personal, not universal. You can't claim to defend freedom while denying others theirs. Just as faith should not be erased from the public conversation, it also should not be used to dominate it. Now here's where we find common ground between religion and gender identity. Though most people never dare to say it, both are acts of belief. Religion is a belief in the unseen, in a higher power with no physical proof. Gender identity for many is a belief in one's internal truth, a feeling of self that cannot be measured or proven by science alone. Both are rooted deeply in personal conviction. Both are invisible forces that shape how people view themselves and the world. And because both are personal, they should be treated as such, not enforced, not mocked, not imposed. If we can accept that God cannot be proven, and yet millions find strength and purpose through faith, then we can also accept that gender identity may not fully be understood at all, but deserves the same respect as any other personal truth. The moment we understand that belief, whether spiritual or social, is individual, we create space for coexistence. Let's consider this. What if religion, gender identity, and personal ideologies were practiced at home, in places of personal expression, and not weaponized in public policy or debate? Not silenced, but contained within respect. Here's what that world might look like. Less division. People could focus on shared goals, safety, economy, education, instead of fighting over which belief system should dominate. More mutual respect. When beliefs stay personal, people stop trying to prove each other wrong and start listening with empathy. Fairer politics. No side could use religion or identity to manipulate voters or guilt the public into conformity. Greater peace. Public spaces would no longer feel like battlegrounds for morality, but meeting grounds for progress. By encouraging both faith and identity to be deeply personal, not publicly enforced, we could eliminate much of the tribalism tearing our nation apart at this moment. Freedom means choice. You can believe in God or not. You can identify as any gender you wish, or none at all. But when you step into the public square, your beliefs should not require validation from others, nor should they infringe upon theirs. Imagine if both a devout Christian and a proud member of the LGBTQ community could coexist, not because they agree, but because they respect that their truths are personal, not public mandates. When we stop demanding approval and start practicing acceptance, freedom starts being conditional and becomes universal. We've spent too long dividing this country between the faithful and the free, but they are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. A person's relationship with God or with self-identity is a sacred thing, something that doesn't need public applause or political endorsement to be valid. If the left stopped treating religion as backwards and the right stopped using faith as a weapon, imagine the unity that could emerge. We would see fewer protests and more conversations, fewer insults and more understanding, fewer laws about who people are and more laws about how we treat each other. It's time to reclaim public life for what it was meant to be, a neutral ground. The workplace, the classroom, the courthouse, these should be places of cooperation, not conversion. If your religion or your identity guides your values, that's wonderful, but it should not become a tool to pressure, judge, or divide others. Let's make the public sphere a sanctuary for reason, respect, and dialogue, not ideology. By keeping our most personal beliefs sacred and private, we preserve both freedom and peace. At the heart of this idea is a simple truth. We cannot build a free society by forcing belief in any direction. The left must learn that silencing religion does not create tolerance. It breeds resentment. And the right must learn that condemning lifestyles doesn't preserve morality. It destroys compassion. The only way forward is mutual humility, the recognition that we are all believers in something, even if that something is different. If we keep our faith and our identity sacred, personal, humble, and private, we give public life back its purpose, collaboration, not confrontation. Because in the end, whether your God lives in heaven or your truth lives within, both deserve the same respect, yours. And that respect, my friends, is a foundation of peace.